So I recently had an email from a dad concerned about the amount of time his daughter spends on her assignments. In particular, going back over and changing and editing and re-editing her assignments after receiving feedback and in the final days before submission. And I totally get it, because for many dedicated students, there's an element of perfectionism at play here, as well as, of course, wanting to achieve the best result they can. And this is really why my official taglines are to help students get happy, smart, and successful, and to have them achieve their best possible success and enjoy the journey along the way, with a lot of emphasis on that and. And that's what these blog videos are all about, and why my 10-week grade transformation program and my Write Like an A grader training are all centered around making study as efficient and streamlined as possible for teenagers today. So that they do actually have time for other interests and hobbies, to just sit and relax at home, to hang out with friends, and even just do things just for fun. Now, being efficient in reviewing and improving any piece of work is so much easier when students have a system to follow. Otherwise, those changes and edits just get a bit haphazard, and then even more rereads and edits are needed. So while I could do a whole video on just each step of the systems that I put into place, it's more than what I can cover in this blog video. So I'm going to share with you the 3 pillars that really underpin, or rather hold up, that whole reviewing and redrafting process. Because if your team can at least be aware of and start to address each of these, then they'll not only be producing work of a higher quality, but they'll also be on their way to doing it a lot more systematically and efficiently. Okay, so the first pillar is matching a piece of work with the success criteria, or the marking rubric. Now, students should be provided with this for those larger and longer tasks that are completed outside of exam conditions. Now, your team needs to go through carefully and compare their work with the demands of the grade that they are targeting, and also the grade above, in a kind of shoot for the moon and land among the stars kind of way. Because if they slightly miss something in that target grade, but they do have some elements of the next grade above, then that should have them getting enough to achieve that target. Now, they need to check, are they addressing all the criteria and giving enough evidence in their work that they're meeting those, and that they're meeting those in the required way and at the required level. For example, if it says give a variety of sources or uses a wide range of sources, then they need to consider, well, how many do they have? And yes, of course, the amount will increase in terms of what's required as students move up through year groups. It'll depend on the subject and the task. They need to consider where those sources came from. And again, this will vary depending on the subject and task, but they certainly need to be academically credible and reliable sources. And they need to consider how they've integrated them into their writing and used them within their assignment. Are they discussed, compared, and analysed, or are they just shoehorned in? Now, the second pillar is making improvements to improve their overall communication and writing quality. Now, this might be adjusting the structure, for example, reordering paragraphs so that the points flow more and have closer linkages. It might be more technical vocabulary, going to the thesaurus to look for more interesting words. It might be extending an explanation to improve the level of their analysis. Or it might be combining or rewriting sentences to make more complex points more coherent in investigation, or to provide more impact through shorter sentences in a speech or narrative. Finally, the third pillar is making corrections, ensuring there aren't any simple little errors, because sloppy mistakes can not only cost students in terms of marks specifically allocated to their writing quality, but even if there aren't any specific criteria for that, it is still important in terms of the overall impression it makes on the marker about the type of student that they are. And that can be the difference as to which side of the fence the marker comes down on in any of their decisions about any of the other and all of the other criteria. So yes, first impressions from spelling, punctuation and grammar are important. So quick review, because I know I've covered a lot in this video. The first pillar is reviewing and editing and matching their work up to the marking criteria or the rubric. The second is improving their communication and the quality of their writing. And the third is correcting any little slips, errors, or mistakes by proofreading their spelling, punctuation, and grammar. So I'm Katie Price, grade transformation expert, and if you have anything you'd like me to help with for your teen on a blog video like this, then I'd love to hear from you. Just email me. It's katie.price@rocksolidstudy.com.au. And for plenty more free hints and tips, check out the blog on my website. The website is rocksolidstudy.com.au. And until next week, let's make this a super efficient week.